How do I find the best comp titles for my book when I'm getting ready to query? Are comp titles important to include? So, this is specifically a question from somebody who is querying an agent or a publisher and writing a query letter. And they're asking about comp titles, basically comparison titles. So, comp titles are something that have been used in the industry for a long time. They are particularly used in two ways. One, agents querying publishers on your behalf, and publishers selling into the retail market, selling into the brick and mortar stores. So comp titles can be important. The first thing that I want to say though is if you don't know comp titles, if you just obviously you just like absolutely cannot think of any comp titles to include in your query, don't let that be the thing that holds you back from querying. Not having comp titles is not going to make or break your chance with an agent or a publisher at the beginning of your query stage. So don't let not having comp titles be that thing where you're like, well, I guess I can't query because I don't have comp titles. Don't do that. On the other hand, comp titles can give the agent or the person reading the query a quick idea of how you're comparing, how your book will land in the market. So for instance, it might be soul food meets practical magic. And in that way, you get a sense of what you might be able to expect. A couple of things about comp titles is one, you do want to try and stay relatively current. So current is usually within the last 5 years, maybe 3 to 5 years. If it's not a current comp, then it needs to be something that's a really big bestseller. So if it's 10, 20 years old, then you're going to use like Harry Potter, Jane Austen, things that are really, really well known and something that people immediately know what you're talking about when you say it. Don't use some obscure book from 10 years ago because then the comp isn't going to do its job. It needs to do the heavy lifting of it being immediately identifiable, allowing the person who's reading to know, oh, okay, like it has these qualities or these characteristics, or this is something that interests me. So if you're going to use comps, make sure that they're current. You can use movies as comps too, but movies tend to be a little bit more difficult, and they are great for a query or a pitch or a hook. But if you're saying this is in the vein of 50 Shades of Grey, people know immediately because it's a book. We can compare it to a book. If you're saying this is just like John Wick, well, John Wick is a movie. How does that compare in a book? So you do want to try and keep the movie comps to the hook line. If you're looking for specific comp titles, then just use comp titles that are like within the last 5 years. And then the other thing about comp titles is also making sure that they're relevant to your book, not like this one obscure fact about this comp title compares to my book. Make sure it's thematically or tone or something else that makes it big comparison.